Hey everybody, and welcome to another installment of GameSpot Presents Now Playing. Today we're up here in Montreal visiting Ubisoft and Darby McDevitt, lead scriptwriter on Assassin's Creed Revelations. Darby, you're just a couple weeks away from the release date. How does it feel?
Good. It's you know, when you finish up a game, you know, a couple months ago, you finish up most of the work, and then it's just about bug testing. So it actually feels like it's been a long time since we really finished, and since I finished my job, and so now it's fun to sort of just kind of eagerly await the anticipation, how people will anticipate it or will receive it.
Mm-hmm. So we've actually got the game running right here. So if you could just set the scene for everybody, establish what's going on here and why Ezio has found his way into Turkey.
So we started off this game kind of like an Indiana Jones movie. You know, all the Indiana Jones movies start in the middle of some action, and we thought that'd be a good punchy way to start our game. So sequence one is a lot of like the trailer we released. And then we did a Gamescom demo that takes place in the beginning of the game, and you know the color palette's really blue and white, and it's wintry, and it's in the mountains of near Masyaf Castle, the setting of the first Assassin's Creed. And as soon as that wraps up, Ezio learns that this library that he's been searching for, that's beneath Masyaf Castle, that was built by Altair, our first assassin, that Altair at some point sent the 5 keys to this library to Constantinople. So after this action-packed opening sequence, we completely switch gears and we go into Constantinople. And this is right here, is Ezio arriving in Constantinople for the first time. The only thing he knows is that there are 5 keys and that the Templars already have one of them. So he's going to have to find the remaining 4 that are still hidden, and then he's going to have to track down the Templars and figure out which one of them has the key and why they have it and what they're after. Because he sort of showed up in Masyaf thinking he was on vacation, right? He's just going to open this library and learn more about the assassins, try to figure out what to do with himself. You know, he's kind of untouchable in Italy now, right? So he's got some time to reflect, but once he shows up and finds that the Templars want into this library, he's now worried, more curious about what's in there, and so that kind of sets the ball rolling.
Okay. So now, what is it about Constantinople that attracted you guys as a setting, as a city to take place for the game? We
have a couple of reasons. One of them is that as a symbolic gesture, it's kind of it was a perfect mix between East and West, which is our 2 assassins. You know, Altair grew up in an Islamic culture in modern day Syria, what would be modern day Syria, and then Ezio grew up in a Christian culture in the height of the Renaissance. And Constantinople historically has represented the meeting ground of these 2, East and West. It literally sits on the border between Europe and Asia. Most of it's on the Europe side. And it was founded by the Greeks, then occupied by Romans, and the Roman Empire became the Eastern Roman Empire, which we now call the Byzantine Empire. And that was for like 1,000 years. And our game takes place just 60 years after the Ottoman Turks have moved in. So now it's an Islamic city, and so it has the accumulation of all this culture, all present, all at the same time. So unlike other games that were predominantly Italian, Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood, this one we tried to really show the diversity and the mix of cultures. So you will actually hear Greek, Italian, and a lot of Turkish in this game. Like this tower that we're walking towards, it's hidden behind a building now, but that we're going towards Galata Tower, that was built by the Genoese in like 1350. So the city has is just a tapestry, or like a what do you call it? Like a 7-layer dip.
A 7-layer dip of culture.
Right.
That might be the best metaphor I've ever heard.
And so we hope that players really feel that, and as you're wandering around, As with all Assassin's Creeds, it's really fun to just sort of wander around and listen to people talking. Me and the AI writer Nick Grimwood, we worked really hard to every sequence to move the chatter forward, the city chatter. So not only is the main story going forward, but as you move forward with sequences, if you stop and listen to the heralds, and you stop and listen to just people talking in their daily life, you'll hear about this war that's going on outside the city between the current sultan and one of his sons. And if you listen carefully, you'll actually feel the progression of that war too. So the city has a life of its own apart from the story.
Now, we've just been introduced to this character, Yusuf, right here, and as I gather by the throwing knives on his shoulder, he's probably one of Ezio's tribe, right?
Yeah. The assassins have, what do you call it? Outposts everywhere, all over the world. In our mythology, the order of the assassins is quite old. Many thousands of years old. And for those fans who are following our story, we have this sort of backstory that there was a civilization that lived before humans. And the Assassins and Templar War kind of sprang out of that when that first civilization disappeared. The Assassins and Templars kind of sprang out of that and have been around for many thousands of years. So that has given the Assassins the opportunity to have what is the word I'm looking for? Outposts or sects, but. Everywhere. So the Ottoman assassins are one such group, and there's small references to Constantinople and say like Brotherhood and things, but this is the first time that we've really had Ezio yanked out of Italy and set him down in a new group, and now he gets to or sequence 2 is where he gets to kind of see how the Ottoman assassins do it. And the Ottoman assassins, we've tried to make them as diverse as the Ottoman Empire was. So there are Turks, there are Hungarians, Albanians, Ukrainians, some Italians, some Jews. So it's like, if you look at their names, I think we have something around 75 names for all these assassins you can recruit over the course of the game, and their names are going to reflect how diverse this empire was at the same time, because it spanned from all the way to like western or eastern Turkey, all the way up to Romania, and pushing down towards Egypt, and just about 30 or 40 years after this, it even got bigger. So it was a huge, significant empire that I think, definitely me growing up in Seattle, I didn't learn a whole lot about the Ottoman Empire in world history. It was probably mentioned once and I forgot it.
I also grew up in Seattle, and I can confirm I did not learn much about it myself either.
So that's an opportunity we've been given. It's like, so you asked why we picked the city. So it was the symbolic reason, but also because of its historical significance, we felt like, hey, here's the Renaissance happening. Here's Rome and the decrepit remains of a once great imperial city, and yet just next door, you have this empire that's rapidly expanding. Constantinople, because the Ottoman Empire was engulfing the Byzantine Empire from about 1300 on. Constantinople itself, when it was still under Byzantine control, people started fleeing it. Like the population was dropping, and by the time the Ottomans took over, it was like 40,000 people. But as soon as the Ottomans took over, they instituted a number of policies to really bring people back. So by our game, it's back up to about 250, 300,000 people. So in these 60 years, it just exploded with life, and it hasn't stopped growing. Like it's actually bigger than New York now. It's like 15 million people. It's massive. Istanbul.
Okay, so here we are back out into the streets of Constantinople. Can you explain the mission that Ezio's on right here?
This is just a simple one where Ezio has met Yusuf, who is the master assassin in Constantinople, master Ottoman assassin. I don't think we ever say if the Ottoman assassins have their own mentor. Because Ezio is not the only mentor of the entire assassin order, simply because the world is too big at this period, and there's, you know, it would be impossible for Ezio to be the mentor of, say, like a Russian, you know, sect of assassins, because it'd be impossible to talk to them. So, but essentially Yusuf is his equivalent, and so now Yusuf has sort of just sent Ezio on a mission to learn the shops, you know, learn a bit of the economy. We always have to do that in every Assassin's Creed. We have to introduce players who might not be familiar with the game to our, you know, systems, and we have lots of amazing systems in these games. So it takes a little while. Thanks for watching me fight.
I think that last kill that we saw there is instantly my new favorite kill animation. The backwards stab in the head.
Yeah, it takes a bit of faith. So yeah, so we introduced you here, and he's just buying. She's just buying armor. Ezio. I'm like, should I say he for Ezio? And yeah, and this is really your first opportunity to explore the town if you want. If you want to just run around and start checking it out. Like, oh yeah, we'd spin around and look at Galata Tower. So this is the first major landmark. That one's actually, I just recently visited it, and it's actually one of the first ones I think we've actually made to scale.
Oh really?
Because it's not too big. And I remember seeing it and actually thinking, wow, I think we did this one exactly right. Most of the time, you know, we have to shrink things a little bit because, like, the Colosseum is massive.
Oh yeah.
And we had to shrink that a little bit, but Galata Tower, don't even have to go there anymore. So yeah, Ezio has some new armor, and now we're going to introduce the first new major change, the Hookblade, which was invented for our creative director. Alex likes to take game systems and make sure that they link to each other in a coherent way, so that you don't just have combat, but that the combat doesn't ever, you know, mix with climbing or stealth or whatever. You know, games immediately get richer and more complicated and more fun if all the systems sort of talk to one another. So the Hookblade was an idea that you could use it in combat, you could use it in navigation, and you could pretty seamlessly go between the two. You know, if you're going to go down a zip line and you see a guy you want to take out, you off the zip line into the street. Or you can use the Hookblade in counters and to disarm people. You can even, I think we had this in Brotherhood, but it bears repeating because it's interesting but little known. When you're in a fight, you can actually counter people and steal money off them in the fight, not just pickpocketing, but you can actually wait for them to attack you, and you can hit a counter where you literally like rip their purse out of their off their belt. So you can earn money as you're fighting, and items and things. Let's see if we get. Oh. Well, the Hookblade works.
There's a rhythm to it, right? You have to know when to press the button.
And but yeah, exactly. You hit the B button, and see, rather than get stopped on that ledge and then climb up, there's a kind of spring to it where you attach to the edge and fling yourself up like that. So yeah, I think Alex has been fond of saying that it increases navigation speed by about 30%. That sounds about right. There's just a kind of a snappiness to it. You do have to be active about it, though. One of the things is, you know, a lot of games with, you know, big action set pieces and things, they're so complex sometimes that it's really risky to give a player a lot of freedom, right? Because you want, you know, things to go the way you want them to, the designer. So that's, you know, the navigation in previous games has often felt, in some cases, like, I mean, it's felt really free-flowing, where you hold down a button and you just push in a direction, and Ezio will grab things, he'll climb things, you know. And that's always worked really well, and people really get into the rhythm of that. It takes a while. There's people who are used to old styles of gameplay. I've seen a lot of people play these games and they're new to Assassin's Creed, so they're constantly hitting the jump button, to try to jump off ledges, but that actually doesn't work because we go into high-profile sort of jump mode. You hold it down and you jump. We have a slightly different system we use, but with the addition of the hook blade, we have given some of that choice back where if you want to go faster up a wall, you hold down that hook blade button and you'll fling up faster. Or if you don't want to go around corners with those flower pots and you want to actually fling straight forward, you use the hook blade actively, you fling straight across and straight out from it, maybe across the street rather than around a corner. And then here we see using the hook and run. Nice, 200 about. Where if there's a bunch of guards in front of you, rather than be stopped by them and be directly confronted, you just want to keep running. You want to be that assassin who gets in and out quick. You use the hook blade and you flip right over them, or you can kind of judo flip them and actually throw them if you just tap it. So this was just one of a few ways to make even navigation more active. You have more choices. But if you choose not to make those choices, that sounds weird, then you can sort of play it the way that people have always played Assassin's Creed.
Now, that extra speed that you have maneuvering through the world, have you balanced that out in a way to make sure that you still have that tension of feeling like there's a chance you might be caught up with during a chase?
Yeah, there's more guards with guns, more guards with there's actually bomb throwing guards. So yeah, there's more ways they can get you. You are faster, but that's kind of the old, going back to AC1, the old idea of the assassins was social stealth and kill your target and get out of there.
Right.
So that's kind of especially with the way we in the previous game, you had to run, and the guards would always be alert. I guess this in AC1, guards would always be alert until you hid, and then we kind of changed that system around so that you have to get outside of a radius, right? To make it feel like as long as you got pretty far from the scene of the crime, then you were okay. So we do want you to be a fast runner because that's kind of how the old assassins worked, right? It's like get in, sneak up to your target, kill him, and everyone saw you kill him, but then you get the hell out of there. Because that's kind of how the original Assassin worked. They would be sneaky right up until the point of killing their target, and then they wouldn't care if they got caught or not because they had accomplished their job. Obviously, our assassins desire a longer lifespan, but that is the spirit in which we create our games. We're not trying to be a total sort of like Splinter Cell type stealth. We want to be social stealth where you have just enough time to get to your target, and as soon as your target's dead, whatever happens after that, it doesn't matter. So it's a slightly different take on the whole social, or the whole stealth thing. That's why we call it social stealth.
So just a moment ago we saw that sweeping vista of all of Constantinople. Can you talk about the scale of the city and how it compares to Rome and Brotherhood?
Yeah, so our map, the just physical size of it is just slightly smaller than Rome, almost as large as Rome's map. But if you remember, Rome was almost just about a third or 2/5 city. The rest of it was countryside. Our Constantinople is all city. It's very, very dense. You can kind of get a sense of how big it is here. So that's the main peninsula on the far side, and then here we're in Galata district, which is traditionally more of a European section. But yeah, so nearly the same size as Rome, but all city, very dense. So no horses in this game. No need for them. In fact, the zip lines are the
new horses.
Yes. And then of course we have another city, in a hidden city in the region of Cappadocia. And that's fairly sizable. Free roam, lots of free roam opportunities in Cappadocia, and then Masyaf as well, with some areas in the outskirts of Masyaf. So yeah, plenty to explore in this one. Oop. Keep it on the cutscene.
And another there. Watch this.
So this is just, again, one example of bridging systems. We have this hook blade where you're using it for traversal, but you can instantly switch, if you're quick, to an aerial assassination. And so, and it's quite fun when you pull it off. I remember the first one I did. It was still in the prototype phase, but it was still pretty exhilarating.
Nice.
Yeah. For the real hardcore achievement hunters out there, we even have an achievement where Ezio still has his parachutes, you know, from the last game, the Da Vinci parachutes. And if you can jump off a building, parachute, then drop and hook onto a zip line and go,
Oh, wow.
you're gonna. It's probably not too difficult, but it's really fun.
I can't be in two places at once, but with you here, I don't have to be.
Can you recommend any spots in the city where that works best?
No, because I haven't done it yet.
Oh,
I just
okay.
know that the achievement's there. What I have done is run sideways into or perpendicularly into a zip line and hooked onto it from the side. And then
and sort of change directions?
Yeah, a real quick turn. That's kind of fun. Harder to find those spots, though.
So we've discovered just now that there's some trouble with the Assassin's Den right now?
Right, so the Assassin Dens are an upgrade of the Borgia Tower. We've kind of combined, you know, the Assassins still have their main headquarters, but we also have little dens around, 7 dens around the, there's a bomb. Yeah. That guy's not taking any.
No.
Get in there!
That guy came prepared.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's the judo throw I was talking about.
I'm glad to see I'm not the only person who likes throwing bodies off of buildings.
So yeah, the dens are a combination of Borgia Tower and hideout, right? So in the Borgia Towers, they just belong to the Borgia. You kill the leader, and then you blow up the tower, you know, no longer a threat. In ours, it's slightly different. It's still a tower. You still have to find a captain and kill him and then take over the tower. There's one of the towers. But once you control it, you can lose it, right? So controlling it has a lot of advantages. Prices, you can renovate shops in the area. You can do business in the area. But if the Templars take it back, they'll add a tax to everything, so prices will skyrocket. And you'll be funding their evil ways. So when the Templars attack a den that you already own, you'll go into this mode, which is den defense. It's an optional mode. This is the tutorial where we teach it to you. But if, you know, for some reason you don't enjoy doing this, then what you would do is let the Templars take over your den, and then you'd have to go attack it again and take it back. But if you happen to like this, and I think a lot of people will, because it's quite robust and quite fun, you go into defense mode where you're actively defending it. And what you do is you generally have you can kind of scan the street, and you have this cursor up here, and you have, in this case, you have 4 rooftops that you can control. And the way to control a rooftop is you purchase an assassin leader. And once a rooftop has a leader, then that leader can then direct troops below him or her. Here we're going to put some crossbow assassins. And each of these costs some morale points, which you see up there on the left. Oh yeah, a word of warning for people who... I love playing with the HUD completely off, because I accept the money, I keep the money on. Then if you turn the HUD completely off, you might think your den defense is broken, because it'll turn the HUD off in this too. So if you do find that, go turn your HUD back on.
Unless you're really good
unless
at
you're
going by intuition.
hardcore, So killing guards, surviving just for a period of time, depending on your number of assassin leaders, that's boosts your morale and slowly ticks up. I've seen people, even in this tutorial, you have to keep an eye on that morale, and there's no point in saving it up. Okay. Really, because you're not going to go buy a Lamborghini.
You're not going to spend your morale through the rest of the city.
Yeah, I've
afterwards?
seen people just sort of waiting and waiting, and you know, there's a huge assault that usually comes at the end with some sort of machine of war. And I've seen people like playing and waiting, and they've had morale at like 350. It's like, you need to spend that money. So yeah, barricades, lots of little nuances in this game. Apart from buying and allocating troops, Ezio has his wrist gun, and he can use that to actually be active and get involved in the battle himself. So you can shoot people on the street. You notice you can actually put riflemen behind barricades too. And thank you. And if Ezio shoots at somebody, then people will direct their attention to that area. Okay. You also have the cannon, which is functions the same way as the Brotherhood mechanic, right? Bringing your assassins in to help fight with you. When you're in den defense mode, that is now a cannon, and it recharges the same way. You fire it off, and then let's see, we just blasting some of this one. And if you like the den defense system, and as you play it, you will earn more and more unit types. So there's not just when you see the weapon wheel pulled up, you'll see 8 slots, but there are actually more than 8 units. So there will come a time where, when you get more advanced at it, where you're going to have to start to choose what you go into battle with. There are a number of different barricade types. There's actually a Greek fire barricade, if you remember from our E3 demo. But Greek fire was a real weapon back in that the Byzantines invented. It's kind of a mysterious mixture of flammable materials that stuck to things and really burned hot for a long time. So we've kind of appropriated that in our game, and the assassins use it to wreak havoc.
Now, when you're actually selecting weapons, you do have that same radial weapon wheel, so there is that sort of universal interface from the rest of the game?
Yep. Yeah, it's very obviously important in games to come up with a kind of language that players get to know. We've all had that experience of playing one game, like Dark Souls, and then coming and playing Assassin's Creed and going, why don't the buttons work?
I don't understand.
But yeah, within a game, it's very important to retain the same language, and so we try to do that as often as possible. That's just key game. That's a key feature of game design, so that players never have to say like, "What this button now is my movement, and this one, oh." That would be some sort of anti-game, avant-garde game.
So this is obviously just one of the dens, and they each, you mentioned earlier, have different sort of street layouts out front?
Yeah. So there's 7 dens throughout the city. There's one in Galata and 6 in the mainland. And each one, because it's in a different part of town, the rich district, the Imperial district, or the middle-class district, which is Bayezid, and the poor district, which is the Constantine district. Each one will have a different layout. Some of them have a crook in the road. And, some troop layouts which work on a straight street might not work for the other streets. And all den defenses end with, you see we're on wave 19 out of 19. All den defenses end with a machine of war being wheeled in, and you have to kill that machine in order to win the day, right? This is an extremely good setup here, so we're going to win almost immediately. Boom, dead. But there are a couple different machines of war too, not just a battering ram, but I think some people will be kind of terrified when they see what the Templars wheel in to battle you. But that's that. So I can't remember if you win anything. Yep. New unit, Air Assassins. Right. So next time if we play another den defense, what you're going to have is the option to put assassins who crouch on the rooftops and will leap down and take out heavy units, because the Templars will start also sending heavier guys, like big brutes with heavy armor, and so it can get pretty brutal. I know our mission design director Falco is, by his 3rd den defense, he actually lost pretty badly, so he had to rethink his strategy.
It's the fastest way to the peninsula.
So now Ezio has successfully defended a den. Now we're going to go check out a den attack, and that's going to be on the mainland. You know, we parted ways with Yusuf just a little while ago, but we're going to go meet up with him, see how he did, because he was going to defend another den, and that's going to feel a little more familiar to players of Brotherhood, but with there are some key differences. One of the things is we wanted to make when you attack in a den, we made the area bigger, so you really have to search. Oh, there's some Janissaries right there. But that's one thing I should point out is the notoriety system in our game changed quite drastically. It used to be in the other games that the notoriety was a measure of how aware the Templars were of your presence, of Ezio's presence.
Okay.
So you would have to bribe heralds, tear down posters, and kill witnesses, I think. We have taken the posters out of this game because we are no longer measuring Templar awareness of your activities, but of assassin activities in general. And when the notoriety system at the top there, when it gets full red, that's when they will start attacking your dens. This also means that the guards don't get more hostile as this thing fills up. Because we have two separate guard factions. We have Ottomans, who are the stewards of the city, kind of. They are the Sultan's guards, so they're just like the police, right? They're always neutral towards you unless you're doing something violent or you're on a rooftop. The Byzantines, however, will always attack you because they are the assassins' sworn enemies now. So it's rather than having one set of guards slowly get more aggressive, we have two that are always aggressive and neutral. And that creates a completely different dynamic. It also means that the two sides hate each other. Okay. So if you don't want to get directly in combat with people, you can actually lure Ottoman guards into a group of Byzantines, and they'll fight each other, and then you can get out of there.
Nice.
It's actually quite a sneaky way of letting other people do your dirty work. So that is, but when that, now you see he has a little, Ezio's now, or the assassins are now a little bit, the Templars are aware of them. You have to see a little bit of red up there in the notoriety meter. When that awareness meter gets all the way to the top, you may see on the map any dens that you own might have suddenly get a little flame icon on it. It means that the Templars are now contesting that one. You can go defend it like we just saw, or you can let it. You can say, okay, I'm going to lose it, and then it reverts back to Templar control, and you have to go on an attack mission again. So, which is what we're doing now. We're also introducing a little bit of bombs here. We had smoke bombs in the previous game. This is what this scene's about. But in our game, we have more than 100 kinds of bombs you can make, 100 combinations, and there's a couple major effects that these bombs can. What we call them, the effect. There's the shell, right, the gunpowder, and the effect.
Okay.
And that one was a distraction bomb. It was a cherry bomb. You make it with sulfur and gunpowder, and it just creates a really loud noise. And all guards in the area will be attracted to it. There's another type of distraction bomb called a smoke signal bomb, which causes a small little smoke thing that looks kind of like fire, something's on fire. And what that does is it creates a visual distraction, which is slightly different. If there are guards in an area, but you only want to draw one away from them, you throw that bomb, and only the guards seeing it will go towards it. So it's slightly different, and players will probably find different ways to use different ones, depending on the situation. That's just another kind of one of the systemic things we like playing with. It's like, have ingredients that change the rules slightly, because players are inherently creative, and they'll say like, I have an idea. I'm going to use this type of bomb in this situation. We're actually eager to see like YouTube fill up with like funny uses of bombs. If players start challenging each other to like come up with a creative chain of bombs, like because there's some weird ones.
Right.
There's some really weird ones.
There they go.
The other thing I should say about a den attack is that we've made the area larger that the Templars control.
Okay.
So it takes a little bit longer to find the Templar captains. We've also made the identify gameplay with Eagle Sense. We've made that a little more active, where you actually have to scan people rather than in previous games you would just turn on Eagle Vision. You'd scan around, and if you were looking in the general direction, it would say target identified. Well, now you actually have to find a guy, stay on him for a few seconds, and you'll say either this guy is my target or no, I've process of elimination, he's not a threat. So this is the tutorial kind of for that. So it's a little bit more challenging to roam around a Templar-controlled area searching for the Templar in charge. We've also put these sort of, what do you call them? They're like bay windows, what do we call them? But there'll be Templar gunners hidden in them.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually a lot more difficult to just walk right into a Templar den, because you'll walk around a corner and you'll get sniped from somewhere. And let me see if I can see one. I don't know if there are any in this den. Yeah, so you have to be very careful, and you want to sneak up on those guys and like maybe throw a bomb through the window so it takes them out, so they're not shooting at you anymore. But so I think in this game, assassin dens are a little bit. The Templars are guarding them a little bit better.
Okay.
And you really want to be strategic about it. I remember there's one later in the game where it's got this nice central tiny courtyard that's fairly hidden, and I managed to sneak into it in the middle and then eliminate Templars going from the inside
and
out.
Just fanning out.
Yeah, I was like, I finally found. So there we see we're using this little reticule to identify and eliminate who isn't our target and find our correct target. And in some cases it'll be hard. You'll see 10 guys in the area with who are gold, and you have to sort of get close enough to eliminate the possibilities. Oh, somebody's after.
Chances are looking good, though.
Whoa!
And
well done.
Took out both those guys for good measure.
And see, some guards are actually cowards. Like that guy just saw how awesome your kill was and ran.
Makes sense. I would run away from Ezio as well. All right, everybody. So that just about does it for our single-player portion of the Assassin's Creed Revelations Now Playing. Now, make sure to keep an eye out for our multiplayer Now Playing, which will go up on the site as well. So, for Darby, thanks a lot for watching.